Hi, my name is Tony Kovatch, and I'm the artist in residence here at Liberty Bellows in Philadelphia. I want to welcome you back to our series of instructional videos for the piano accordion. In our last lesson, we were introduced to diminished chords. In today's lesson, we're going to become more familiar with the theory behind these chords, and use our new knowledge to perform our song of the day, Take Me Out to the Ballgame. In our last lesson, we learned that to spell a diminished chord, you flat the third and fifth of a major chord. But let's explore a bit deeper. All chords, major, minor, and diminished, are made up of thirds, meaning that there is always a skipped note of the scale between them. For instance, when we play a C major chord, C, E, and G, we're always skipping notes between the chord tones, like D and F. However, we can end up with different types of chords, such as major, minor, and diminished, because there are two different types of thirds, major and minor, which we use like building blocks to build triads. Let's take a look at the major chord. Let's count the number of keys between the first two notes of the chord. So we have C, and then we count up 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 half steps between C and E. Let's count up between E and G. So we have E, and then we go 1, 2, 3. There are 3 half steps between E and G. The interval that is 4 half steps is called a major third. The interval that is 3 half steps is called a minor third. A major chord consists of a major third on the bottom with a minor third on top. A minor chord is a minor third on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, with a major third on top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we know how major and minor chords are built, diminished chords will make a lot more sense. A diminished chord is 2 minor thirds. So let's count up 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So far we've been referring to the chords in the diminished row simply as diminished chords, but in reality they are diminished 7th chords. To play a diminished 7th chord, we simply add another minor third above the 5th. So we count up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. Now watch what happens if I count up 3 half steps from the top of our diminished 7th chord. 1, 2, 3. I'm back on C. I'm going to keep going. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Notice we just repeated. We're simply playing inversions of the diminished 7th chord now. Not only are these inversions of a C diminished 7th chord, they also double as other diminished chords. This is why we can combine bass buttons with other rows' diminished chords in the left hand. Check it out. Here's our C diminished 7. If we go up one inversion of the chord, it looks like this. Not only is this a C diminished 7 chord inverted, this is also an E flat diminished chord. The next inversion doubles as an F sharp diminished chord. And the next inversion is an A diminished chord. So in summary, these 4 notes are not just the C diminished 7th chord and its inversions, they also create the spelling of many different diminished chords. Move the diminished chord we know into this voicing, which is a half step up, and you can get 4 other diminished 7th chords. Move it up again, and these 4 notes can be used in the spelling of 4 different diminished 7th chords. But if you move your shape up again, you're simply playing an inversion of the C diminished 7th chord. That means in reality there are only 3 different diminished chords, but with many different names. You probably thought it was odd in our last lesson that we played an F sharp in the counterbass and played a C diminished chord. But now we know that those are actually the same chord, C diminished and F sharp diminished. We also discussed in our last lesson that a diminished chord often occurs when the root of a chord ascends while the rest of the chord stays the same, like this. Here's an F, the F sharp goes up, but the A and C stay in the same spot. This creates a moving bass line. Our song of the day uses the same progression. We're going to play an F, then you play your F sharp diminished chord, then you're going to play C, and A7. Let's try playing those 4 chords in a loop. This time when we get to A7, we're going to work our way back using 7th chords, just like this. A7, D7, G7, and then C. So it's going to look like this. At the end, I simply played a C, G, E, C in the counterbass. All of this will come in handy as we transition to our song of the day, Take Me Out to the Ballgame. Our song begins with an introduction. This introduction is the same as the last phrase of the song, so it should sound familiar. You're going to start with your thumb on F, and you'll notice that you don't have to shift your hand around at all during the introduction. The first note is your third finger on A. We're going to move up and then play an F chord. And then you're going to lift your thumb and play an F sharp. This is our F sharp diminished chord. So it's going to sound like this. Then you're going to descend from your pinky. At this point, we're actually going to intentionally cross over. We're going to put our thumb on G, and then use our second finger to play F sharp. It's going to look like this. We're going to play F sharp in A, which is part of a D chord. Then we're going to play F natural in B, which is part of our G7 chord. And then we're going to play E and C, which is part of our C major chord. The whole phrase looks like this. The bass is simply what I showed you in the warm-up exercise. The first few phrases of the song mostly highlight a C major arpeggio. You're going to start by playing an octave with your thumb and pinky. You'll notice that your hand is going to be very spread out throughout this phrase. The next phrase starts with your pinky on A. Then you're going to shift your second finger up to A. You probably noticed the crossover that I did. I worked my way up to D with my pinky, and then I play B, A, G. And then I shift down to put my third finger on E. The whole phrase looks like this. The next phrase is similar to the first phrase, except that it ascends at the end, like this. Notice when I started ascending, I played thirds. And the last phrase of the song you already know because it was the introduction. The entire right-hand melody looks like this. Pinky on A. Second finger on A. Crossover. Thirds. Then the introduction. The chord progression in the left hand is rather lengthy, so I'm simply going to play it for you and tell you what the chords are, and you can write them down in practice. Play your introduction. C, G7, C, G7, A7, D minor, D7, G7, C, G7, C. Now walk up to F. Now play the introduction. Join us next time as our focus shifts to playing a 12-bar blues progression. Thanks for watching.